Bum-ba-da-dum. Hey y'all, today I'm going to give you 5 principles for how to be a better ballad backup guitar player. What do we mean by ballad backup? Well, this can happen with a flat pick. It can happen with fingers. I recently taught a lesson on the site where I backed up the mandolin playing near the cross. Here's an example of the kind of backup guitar I'm talking about. So what are those 5 principles? Well, I go into them in detail, way into detail in the site. So if you want the full lesson, you can go there as a Gold Pick member and get access to that. But let's cover them here from like a 30,000 foot view. First principle, I ask the question, who's the star? Now, if you're the backup guitar player, you've already answered the question. It's not you. You're not the star. So whoever is playing the solo, whoever's singing, whoever's playing a melody, they are the star. And so now we're going to approach everything we do with that hierarchy established. That takes us to the second principle. Principle number 2 is mind the melody. What do I mean by that? I mean, you obey what the melody says, but you keep it in mind. So we always think about what notes are the melody and what's the timing of the melody. And I'm going to adjust my backup playing based on that. So if, well, let's just take a silly example. Let's take Jingle Bells, for instance, and we're playing it in the key of G. The melody starts out on the B note. Jingle bells, jingle bells. So if I was going to play backup for it, I wouldn't want to lead my backup playing the melody note. I wouldn't want to play. It would run all over the melody. The frequency would run over the singer or whoever's playing the melody solo. So I'm going to find other notes of the chord. I'm going to mind that melody. I'm going to find other notes of the chord like this one or this one or this one. And instead we're going to have this. Jingle bells, jingle bells. And now we've created more harmony. We're not running over that melody note. Beyond that, not only do we mind the melody note, we also mind the timing. So there's times in the melody where there's natural breaks. And it's then, as a backup player, that maybe we can throw a little lick in. But we don't want to be throwing licks in whenever there's important melody happening. And that takes us to principle number 3. Principle number 3 is full chords are optional. Full chords are optional. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, we're going to oftentimes want to play a full chord. If we know that a song goes to a B7 chord, then we're going to want to play that full B7 chord. However, we don't really need to do that, especially when we think about what the melody's doing. All that we need to do is offer other notes that aren't part of the melody that helps hold up that melody. So in that particular example of Near the Cross, we go to a quick B7. All that I play is one note or one finger. I pinch that and it gives plenty of backup to what that melody note's doing. So always, again, this ties back into principle number 1 and 2. Think about what that melody is doing. And if you don't have to play the whole chord, don't burn the energy and be more efficient and be more tasty all at the same time. Principle number 4 is all about timing. I call it timing is tasty or tasty timing, whichever way you want to think about it. And this is where music starts to be a lot of fun because this is where you and that other musician start to get to know each other better as you play. Sometimes it can happen over the course of one song, but oftentimes it takes weeks or months or years of playing with other musicians to where you start to guess what they want to do. You start to feel the same emotions in that song. You start slowing down together. You start speeding up together. And you're not locked in by a metronome when you're playing these pieces. So why not explore timing a little bit? Check out what I do on the outro here and notice how both the mandolin and the guitar slow down together and end together. That was nice. So as we're playing with other musicians, part of the journey is to figure out how to play songs together. Again, it's always going to tie back into principles 1 and 2, and that's, who's the star? What's the melody doing? And so you're going to be wanting to listen to that other player more than you're listening to yourself, and that's how you lock into that timing, and that's when it starts to get really tasty. Now for principle number 5. Principle number 5 is to make a motif. I would say this is quite an advanced concept, an advanced principle, but this really takes it to the next level. What you heard there in that last outro was... Now that doesn't have anything to do with the melody to Near the Cross. That's just a motif that I created. It's just a lick. It's a chord melody idea. And the reason why we call it a motif is because it's going to come back and it's going to revisit throughout the song. And this gets to be a lot of fun. So as an accompaniment player, as a backup player, I challenge you to come up with some kind of lick, come up with some kind of little movement, some kind of motif, some kind of melody that doesn't get in the way of the melody, but that you can come back to as you're playing, maybe tie it into the intro, maybe tie it into the end. We want to paint a picture with what we're playing. And we want, when listeners listen to what we play, we want them to receive it as a single finished piece, not just a bunch of notes scrambled up and thrown at them at once. And motifs is one of the ways that we can really polish a musical piece as we hand it off to people. Tied to that, I would say, don't get scattered in what you play as a backup player. Just because you go to a certain chord where you have a cool lick that you could play over it, ask yourself the question before you play that lick, does it fit what I'm doing? Is it part of the attitude of this song? If I'm painting a picture in black and white, would it make sense to get a purple paint and just throw it over the top? We have to ask those kinds of questions whenever we're playing backup, because we're thinking about the whole piece as one, and we're also thinking about that star, and we're thinking about who is really important here, and we're thinking about those listeners, and we want to do everything that we can to make them look good. And that's where motifs come in handy. It makes it a lot of fun for us, but it makes them look and sound really good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that 30,000 foot view of 5 principles of playing some backup ballad guitar. It also applies to other instruments too, right? I would use these same principles if I was playing mandolin or if I was playing piano backup. I hope that you're able to use them. If you like the video, gosh, I put out videos just like this all the time. All you need to do is subscribe to this channel or like my Facebook page, like my Instagram page. You want to click that bell to notify you every time I put out a video, and come over to the site, BanjoBenClark.com. You can join as a GoPick member. You get all kinds of discounts in my store there. Plus, you get access to hundreds of lessons on all sorts of instruments. It's really the best thing going, I think. So come over there, and I'd be honored to have you.